Welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited to film this video for you guys. It's one of the videos I wanted to get out before the end of the year. This is my top 40 albums of the year. I'm not going to take too much of your time during this intro, but I have 41 albums, so it's my top 40 plus one. And these are the albums I enjoyed the most. I kind of based it off of replay value, my thoughts off of first listen. If I thought it was a good album off first listen, and basically I came up with this list, and it's the albums I enjoyed the most throughout the year. And yeah, let's just get started. At 41, I have Childish Gambino, 31520. I'm not going to spend too much time speaking about each album. I will, once I get to about the top 15, I'll speak about the albums in more detail. At number 40, I have Division with Amusing Her Feelings. At number 39, Buddy and Kent Jams with Jank Volume 1. At number 38, I have Kiana Lede with Kiki. At number 37, I have Knowledge with 1988. At number 36, I have Chris Brown and Young Thug with Slime and B. At number 35, I have Conway the Machine with Lulu. At number 34, I have Kehlani with It Was Good Until It Wasn't. At number 33, I have Rina Sawayama with Sawayama. At number 32, I have Little Baby with My Turn. At number 31, I have CeeLo Green with CeeLo Green is Thomas Calloway. At number 30, I have Drake with Dark Lane Demo Tapes. I'm sorry. At number 29, I have Pop Smoke with Shoot for the Stars, Aim for the Moon. At number 28, I have Taylor Swift with Folklore. At number 27, I have Kid Cudi with Man on the Moon 3, The Chosen. At number 26, I have Juice WRLD with Legends Never Die. At number 25, I have Flo Milli with Ho, Why Is You Here? At number 24, I have Big Sean with Detroit 2. At number 23, I have Joji with Nectar. At number 22, I have Red Veil with Niagara. At number 21, I have Logic with No Pressure. And we're getting into the top 20, so I guess I'll go in more detail about each album, why I like each album, my favorite tracks from each album. So at number 20, I have 21 Savage and Metro Boomin with Savage Mode 2. I thought, like, off the rip, like, this album was very menacing, very haunting. Metro Boomin he graduated into a supreme producer on this album. I thought he was always a good producer, but like he expanded beyond trap with his sound on this album. And 21 Savage sounds as menacing, as cold as ever on tracks like Running and Sliding and Many Men. Metro Boomin really lays out a great sound palette for 21 Savage throughout this whole album. And I think 21 Savage takes advantage of these beats at his disposal. So, yeah, I think it's a really good balance of trap bangers and also very haunting album cuts that would belong into a John Carpenter type Halloween movie. At number 19, I have Brent Faiyaz with F the World. I thought this was a really good R&B effort from Brent Faiyaz this year. I really like Sunder Son, and I think this capitalizes on his, transcendence and rise in the R&B world. And I think this is a really under the radar project. I didn't see a lot of people talk about this year, so I thought I included it on my list because I think Brent Faiyaz is an anomaly in R&B. He blends a lot of 90s R&B with 2010s flavor, for lack of better terms. At number 18, I have Black Pumas with Black Pumas Deluxe. I did not listen to the original Black Pumas release, but I thought I'd give them a try after hearing good things about them. And they're a local band from Austin, so that's pretty cool. And I think they have a really eclectic sound. It's a little soulful, a little funky, and it's kind of psychedelic. It's a little bit of everything, and I think they're also an anomaly where you don't see a lot of bands like them in 2020. So I think, yeah, that was one of my favorite new listens this year. At 17, I have Ty Dolla $ign with featuring Ty Dolla $ign. I thought Ty Dolla $ign really did a great job taking basically his best attribute and kind of putting it into a full album. I think this is the most enjoyable listen I've had out of a Ty Dolla $ign album in a long time. And I think he really executed really well with this album, what he wanted to execute. At number 16, I have Denzel Curry and Kenny Beats with Unlocked. I thought this album really cemented Kenny Beats as one of the top producers in the game right now, and Denzel Curry is one of the top MCs in the game right now. And I think Denzel is just in another world, and you can't put him in a box ever. And I think Kenny Beats is just his own, entity as far as beat making. So I think tracks like Diet, Lay It Up, Pyro, strong like that. Like, I think this was a really strong effort from the two of them, and they really used their best powers on this album. Next, at 15, I have Future with High Off Life. Thought Future, this is his best project since I would say since the 2017 run with Future and Hendrix. I think these are his best projects since then, but this is his overall best project since DS2. I think Future really executed really well on this album. He slides on the tracks like Riding Strikers and Too Comfortable. They just paint a picture, and he's just like, he's our favorite Toxic King on this album, so I can't deny that this album was really good. 070 Shake with Modus Vivendi is next at 14. I think this was really good album with a great production on tracks like Divorce, Microdosing, and The Pines. I think 070 Shake is like crazy good, and she's like good music's new Casey Hill in a sense, where she's making like alternative music, but it's not like really rock, hip hop, or R&B. It's kind of a fusion of all of them. So it's like really interesting how she does all of that at once. 13 is Phoebe Bridgers with Punisher. I thought this was a beautiful alt-rock, kind of popish mashup. I had never heard of Phoebe Bridgers before this year, and she was one of my favorite listens along with Black Pumas this year. And I think Phoebe Bridgers is a great singer, despite like her not having the best voice, and she can really tell a story, and she invokes a lot of emotion throughout each track, such as Kyoto and Garden Song and Graceland 2 and whatnot. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Phoebe Bridgers' album. Just go check it out. It'll be in the description box below. All these albums will be down in the description box below, not in order, but it'll be in the description box below. At number 12, I have Chloe and Halle with Ungodly Hour. I thought this was a great maturation from The Kids Are Alright. I really enjoyed that album, but this was like their coming out party of sense. And I think they're strong contenders for the best progressive R&B album Grammy, and I think they should win. They have the best album in their category to me, and I think Ungodly Hour was just a step up. Like, Wonder What She Thinks of Me is a great track. Do It, of course. Tipsy, Baby Girl, like all those tracks are great in their own right, and they all sound different from each other. So they really brought out the stops with this one. At number 11, I have Deontay Hitchcock with Better. I thought like he's just riding that wave from the Dreamville track he was featured on last year, and I think Deontay Hitchcock is just, he is so charismatic and he's so creative with tracks like Attitude and Angels and I Got Money Now, and there's just like a bunch of tracks on Better and Better Deluxe that just fit his sound and fit his style, and he knows how to take it to another level for sure. Royce da 5'9" with Allegory. I think this is Royce's best album in years. I think Book of Ryan was good, right? But like the Allegory is so much better, and I think like the Allegory paints a lot of pictures and it teaches a lot of lessons, and Royce just sounds so comfortable over all these beats, and it's like even though there are great features on this album, it's never like Royce is in the background. It's like he's always in the foreground. And yeah, tracks like Pendulum, tracks like Overcomer, like Dope Man. I mean, the whole first half of the album is really good. And I think Royce really shines and steals the show, and he knows how to utilize these beats to the best of his advantage, and he doesn't sound like he gets tired or loses breath control at all over the course of this album. And number 9, I have Benny the Butcher with Burden of Proof. Thought the whole Griselda camp like came out with great releases all this year, but like Benny, like he's like back to back years with Tana Talk 3, The Plugs I Met, and now Burden of Proof. Like he is just, you know, commanding, like that you pay attention to Benny. Like people were paying attention to West Side, his releases, and Conway, his releases, and it felt like Benny was kind of getting slighted. But Benny just proves time and time again that he is one of the best, if not the best, member in Griselda. And I think Benny is just something else on this album. Like over the Hit Boy beats, over tracks like the title track, One Way Flight with Freddie Gibbs. Like there's just, you know, Thank God I Made It with Queen Naija. Like he just knows like different pockets, and he's like not just giving you glamorous coke rap over this album. He's giving you like introspective tales, and you know, like it's really good hardcore hip hop at its finest. 8 is West Side Gun with Pray for Paris. I think Pray for Paris was West Side Gun's best release this year. I think it is one of his better releases for sure, outside of the Hitler Wears Air Mask series. And I think Westside really proved that he is like a great picker for beats, and he can rap over anything, whether it's an Alchemist beat or a Derringer beat, or if it's a DJ Premier scratches or whatever the case may be, Vijay Versace beat, he can rap over anything. And like he sounds so comfortable over tracks like 327 and 500 ounces, and like there's just like tracks on here that Westside just, I mean, he just sounds amazing on, and it's like his voice is so iconic, and he's so charismatic as well. He's one of the most charismatic rappers in the game right now, and he puts a lot of emotion and you feel everything he's saying. Next, at number 7 is Don Toliver with Heaven or Hell. Thought Don Toliver was the standout on Jack Boys last year, and he proves why he's like the best signing Travis Scott has signed. And I think Don Toliver, without question, is one of the best newcomers in the game. I mean, he didn't need XXL. I mean, we clearly see why he didn't need XXL. I mean, his songs are everywhere. Songs like After Party, Wasted, Euphoria, you know, there's just tracks on here where you're like, I mean, his voice, his tone, his charisma, his attitude is just like, he's just it. And he has a very old soul, but he has a very new sound, and it's just refreshing to hear something new that doesn't sound like a Travis Scott derivative or a Young Thug derivative. So I really enjoyed his album through and through. Next, at number 6 is Mac Miller with Circles. I think Mac Miller and John Bryant just put this is Mac's farewell, and songs like Good News, Blue World, Circles, Complicated. Like, this album is really good, and I feel like a lot of people talked about it within the first month it came out, and then people stopped talking about it. But I'm like, I went back to it, and it's just as beautiful, as good as it once was. And I like when Max sings more. I like when he gets in his emotional bag. And I think it was really apparent that he was okay in coping with his death. He didn't blame anyone. He just was okay with it. He was okay with dying. He was okay with leaving this world with something positive. And I think Circles was the perfect culmination to a great career that Mac had. At number 5, we have The Weeknd with After Hours. Thought After Hours, clearly the best R&B album of the year, best pop album of the year. It had everything that Trilogy had. It had everything that Peter Behind the Madness had. It had everything that a Starboy had. It was just, it was his best, effort at combining all his styles and his sounds to the fullest degree. I think Abel just executed perfectly on this album, and his Super Bowl performance is going to be crazy. His performances so far have been really extravagant and really theatrical, and he's just been very cinematic with his performances. And I think that he has had a hell of a year, and I think he's gonna keep going. Like he's not gonna stop. He's gonna get more creative and more transformative in his art. So I think this was a really good effort from the weekend. It's like top 3, undisputed, probably right under Trilogy, if not above Trilogy. Next, we have at 4, we have Run the Jewels with RTJ4. Definitely a great political stance. A very well timed album when it came out too. It came out right when the riots and the protests were really raging, and it really came out at a perfect time when there was a lot of things going on and people were at odds, and it came out right at the perfect time. Run the Jewels always comes out at the perfect time. They came out back in 2016 with RTJ3, right at the start of the Donald Trump presidency. They come in right at the right time during the middle of the election cycle. So I thought RTJ4 was perfectly placed, and I thought it was weird to snub it from the Grammys, but I think they have recognition beyond the Grammys, and they don't need the Grammys like a lot of these artists like The Weeknd. Next at number 3 is Boldy James and Sterling Toles with Mengar on McNichols. I thought this was better than Price of Tea in China. I listened to both of them, and I tried to compare the nuances between the both of them. I think the Price of Tea in China just starts off too slow for me, and it doesn't get right into it, and it kind of takes a little bit for that album to warm up and for you to get accustomed to Boldy on that album. Not that I hadn't heard Boldy before, it's just Price of Tea in China was kind of a letdown compared to Mengar McNichols, where the beats were very moody but also very cinematic and very dynamic. They always had some type of change and they always altered, and they always sounded different every time you heard them. And I think Boldy sounds great over these beats. I think he sounds a little bit more enthusiastic and a lot more passionate over these beats, and he's delivering some cold-hearted bars over these beats, especially on Mommy Dearest, which is a very grueling tale about how somebody in their 20s or 30s is yearning for their mother's love that they never got when they were younger. And it's he quotes Biggie from School Without Thoughts, I wish my mom would have got an abortion. I know she should have got an abortion or something along those lines. And it's basically I'm here, but I shouldn't be here, basically, because my mom didn't love me the way she should have. And it's really, really telling as to where Boldy's penmanship is at, and the whole album overall is about the grueling the grueling stories you can hear out of the drug game and out of the drug induced places that these people are in. So yeah, it's a really telling album, and it's prevalent. Now here we are to the top 2. Hope you're ready. No, it's not Fish the Bowl Cutters, but it's still good. At number 2, we have Conway the Machine with From King to a God. Honestly, I don't know what else to say about this album that hasn't already been said about this album. This album is amazing. This album is great. The beats are great. Conway's great. We heard Conway sing before. We had never heard Conway sing like that before. And he's over these beats, he's just spitting some of his best bars he's ever spit. And I think songs like Lemon, Jesus Crisis, Anza, Spurs 3, oh my God, this album is everything we want to know about Conway and more we got on this album. And I think like the beats from Alchemist, Havoc, Derringer, of course, Beat Butcher, people like that, like, they know how to paint a sound for these Griselda members, and it's just, they're getting scarier and scarier, and a lot of these rappers better start hanging it up, because Griselda's coming. They're here, and they're here to stay, and I don't think they're gonna go fade away anytime soon. And my number one album of the year is Freddie Gibbs and the Alchemist, Alfredo. This album is amazing. I don't know what else to say about this album that hasn't already been said. Just kind of like From King to God. But the transition from 1985 to God Is Perfect, Scotty Beam, to Look at Me, to Frank Lucas, like that, like sequence, that those first 5 tracks, and you get to something to rap about, and you get into like just, you get great verses from everybody on this album. I think like Alchemist just provides a great palette for Freddie to just glide over, and like this album got nominated for a Best Rap Album Grammy in a very good category, in a very good like nominee pool for Freddie to win. And I think it's like right under Pinata for me. Like, it's above Bandana, but it's right under Pinata. Like, it's close, it's neck and neck. And I think like Freddie is just a menace on these beats. He like said, my name's Cocaine. They're not gonna put me in the nominees, and they put him in the nominees. I mean, it's just amazing, like, to see the growth of a older rapper. Not to say Freddie's an old rapper, but like he's in his he's late 30s, early 40s. But stuttering. He keeps getting better year after year, and it just proves time and time again, no matter how old you are, you can still perfect your craft, and you can still get better and better. So that's my top 40 plus one albums of the year for 2020. I think this year has been a great year for music, despite the challenges of the pandemic and not many artists being able to record music in various studios. A lot of artists have found creative ways to make music and put out music, and they put out some of their best work ever. And I think this has been an amazing year for music, and I wouldn't have it any other way. And Alfredo is my album of the year. Freddie takes this top spot for back-to-back years. If you want to see more videos like this from me, please like, comment, subscribe, and share with your friends. And also follow me on my social medias, which will be linked down in the description box below. But as always, this is me, your boy Harris, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace out.